So, have you noticed anything about this morning's service so far? My, it's all different. And with no warning. With no warning. And no program. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen next until it happens. And so if you're new today and you feel a little anxiety, that's why. And by the way, I'd like to greet you now if you're new, since we haven't yet done that this morning, and we normally do that first in the service. If you're here for the first time and we haven't greeted you already, if you raise your hand, our ushers will bring you a guest packet. And in that packet, there is on the outside of that packet is a card that we ask that you fill out the first 3 times you come to Unity, and the cards are located in the pockets in the chairs in front of you. We appreciate you being here. And I want to affirm with each and every one of you that something good, something wonderful is going to happen to you today because you've made the decision to come here and honor God. Thank you for being here this morning, even though we walked past you 3 times. Oh, so now back to you regulars. How are you feeling?
Good. Excited.
But I want you to tap in and honestly assess your feelings. How did it feel for things not to be like they always are? On a scale of 1 to 10, where's your comfort level? 1 being completely thrown off, to 10 being completely okay with it. 9. Hey, y'all are a great crew.
I'm not sure if I'm coming or going.
Well,
We're late.
No, we're not late.
It's okay.
So if you can't guess what I'm talking about this morning. Change. And I'm not talking about the kind in our pockets, and I'm not talking about a little change like cutting our hair or getting our hair colored. I mean changes that throw us for a loop. Specifically, we're going to explore changes that we didn't expect. Changes that we don't like. Changes that hurt, that do damage, that kill dreams, that ruin plans, that disrupt futures. At least that's how it seems. I think we all know about that kind of change, don't we? We've all experienced changes like that in our life at least once, maybe twice, maybe 3 or 4 times in our lives. And I know that there are those of you who are here this morning who are going through that kind of change right now, and it is scary. And we see at that point when we're in that situation, we see no resolution, we see no solution. I know about that space because I've been in it. But I want to tell you something right now, and that is you have the power within you to experience change in a new and different way. My reference for this talks this month is Neil Donald Walsh's book, When Everything Changes, Change Everything. As the title indicates, he has a subtitle that says, in a time of turmoil, this book is a pathway to peace. And as his title indicates, that through the concepts in his books and the tools that we're going to be talking about, that through change we can actually become to a state of peace. Wow. Jim, you're ringing.
Sorry about that.
It's unusual when I can hear you. And I can still hear you. If it's not Jim, it's somebody close to Jim. So Jim, you're buzzing.
Everybody check your
Check. Yeah. Nina, is it not you? So would you do me a favor?
Yes. Check your pocket.
So Marion, is it Jim?
She can't hear it.
She can't hear it? Okay. David.
I'm looking for a hearing aid.
Well, we have a whole bunch of them. I'm imagining things. Well, go figure. It's gone now. Whatever it is, it's gone now. Change. See, right in the middle of what we're doing, something comes up and it changes what's going on. And it can be a simple thing like checking your pocket. My phone might ring. Oh my gosh, I think I turned it off. But through those changes, you and I can not only learn to be more peaceful, but we can actually evolve spiritually. You and I can have transformed lives. We can be ready for change. We can actually get excited about it. Excited to begin life in a whole new level. For any of you who are going through those life-altering changes right now, I really recommend that you get Neale Donald Walsch's book. It's a great book and it will help through that time of change. I have a quote from Jack and Cornelia Addington that's from their book, Your Needs Met. It says, life on earth is continually changing. We cannot stop change any more than we can stop the clock. Isn't that the truth? In our book, Walsh says, the changes in your life are not going to stop. If you think writing things out for a while, waiting things to settle down a bit, you may be in for a surprise. There's going to be no settling down. Things are going to stay in a constant state of upheaval on this planet and in your own life for a good while now. Actually, yes, well, I might as well tell you, it's going to stay that way forever. Change is what is, and there's no way to change that. What can be changed is the way that you deal with change, the way that you're changed by change, the way that I deal with change, and the way that I'm changed by change. So change isn't going away. It's here to stay. In fact, change is what propels us forward. And in today's world, change is happening what? Now, and it's happening, how quickly is it happening? Faster and faster and faster. A Zen teacher, Alan Watts, says, the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. So that's what our goal this month is as we talk about change. And notice that we're leading up to the largest change of all in human history, and that's Easter. Wow, and the air conditioner went off. Change. Right in the middle of service. Oh my gosh.
Bunch of cool people.
Bunch of cool people. So we're going to talk about tools for dealing with change. And the first tool that Neale Donald Walsch talked about was that we could change our emotions about change. We could choose what emotions we felt about change. And when I read that, I thought, I don't know about that. I don't know for sure that I believe that. And after long and lengthy discussion, and I did try to set my judgment aside, Walsh says he reaches the conclusion that even though he says that changing your emotions about change is a powerful tool to have, you can't really do that. You really can't change your emotions. Oh great, now what? Well, never fear. There is something you can change, and we all know it. What is it that you can change? Your thought. You can change what you're thinking. Sounds like Charles Fillmore, who said, thinking is formative. Every thought clothes itself in a life form according to the character given by the thinker. We absolutely have the ability to change our thoughts about the change we're going through, and whenever we do that, we change the emotion. Walsh writes, then it is not a question of overcoming emotions to get them to be what we want them to be, but of creating them that way from the start. Because thoughts are changeable. You change your emotion by changing your thought. You may not be able to change the fact that things are changing, but you can change your thought about the things that are changing. This most powerful idea is the beginning of our pathway of making it through change. Where do you stand in your thinking about change when it's something that you don't initiate? Because the way we think about change will either cause us to have feelings of fear and frustration and anger, or it will give us the experience of joy and peace. So I would like for you to, for a moment, to think about a change that is going on for you right now. Something going on for you personally right now. Whether it's big or little, whether it's life-altering or merely an inconvenience, chosen by you or not, think about that change for me. And here's the affirmation we're going to use. I stand in this change in a way that moves me to peace and joy. Can you say that with me? I stand in this change in a way that moves me to peace and joy. So I want you to tap into your feelings. Go in deep and tap into your feelings. You think about the change. What are you feeling? And let's do our affirmation once more. I stand in this change in a way that moves me to peace and joy. And one more time. I stand in this change in a way that moves me to peace and joy. Now go back and check in and see, have your feelings shifted even just a little bit? Because to me it feels like there's a shift in my heart toward the change that I was thinking about. And here's another way of thinking about change. Jesus taught us that when we enter the kingdom of heaven, that we must become like little children. And there was a mother and our 3-year-old daughter, and they were walking through the park, and the mother had bought the daughter a helium balloon. And as they were walking along, a great gust of wind came and took the balloon, and off it went. And the mother was prepared for screaming and crying and the child being upset. But the little girl, the 3-year-old, went, wow, as the balloon went up and up and up. And that's what we get to do. We get to choose the experience that we're going to have. Change happens. Are we going to go, oh no? Or are we going to go, wow? There's another choice that we get to make. And our choice is about whether we listen to our inner core beliefs or not. And maybe we choose to change our core beliefs. Our thoughts, we said our thoughts create our emotions, and eventually our emotions become our core beliefs. So I want you to stay with me on this. Where do those beliefs, those core beliefs, those inner truths, where do they come from? They come from prior data. Our inner truth emerges out of data. And where does that data come from? From our surroundings. From our experiences.
Parents.
Our parents. Oh, yes. Our family. Thank you, Lisa. That was sweet. Lisa turned to her daughter and said, "I'm sorry." I know that Rachel forgives you. They come from our neighbors, our teachers, our role models, our culture, our education. They come from our religion. They come from our entertainment. So we're supplied with this data from all of these different sources. And we get to choose what we believe. So what happens is something happens to us and we react. Walsh says, and this is real important, we don't experience what's going on outside of us. We experience what's going on inside of us about what's going on outside of us. And the example he used is, say your dad told you that you were lazy and would never amount to anything and that you'd always mess everything up. And something happens in your life. And your thought goes, "Oh, I got laid off. Oh, I'm just such a mess up. That's what Dad said. I'm never going to be okay. He was right." There go your thoughts. And it creates more of the same. Does that make sense? Now here's a great metaphysical teaching. What causes the event or the change in the first place is our inner truth. And then we have something happen, and you and I take that, whatever happens, and we use it as more data to prove our inner truth. And our inner truth does what? Causes something else to happen. And we take that, what happens, and we make that more proof of our inner truth. And that goes on and on and on unless we stop it. And the great thing is that you and I can stop it. All we have to do is realize that what's really going on is something that's higher than that inner truth. Higher than the event we're experiencing. Walsh calls this, the higher space, a third reality. And on page 115 he says, paying attention to the third reality can so affect your life that you may never have to endure emotional turmoil again. Are we ready to sign up for that? This is where the Buddha lived. This is where Christ resided. This is where all true masters lived. It was the home of Paramahansa Yogananda. It is a home of the Dalai Lama. It is where you will find Thich Nhat Hanh and Western masters too, such as Stephen Levine, Eckhart Tolle, Byron Katie, and Mary O'Malley. They all live, or lived, from the third reality, which is the realization that what we think is going on and what we think about what we think is going on is not really what is going on. It is the realization that what we think is going on and what we think about what we think is going on is not what is really going on. Marvin Gaye?
What's going on?
What's going on? Well, we had a master teacher, Jesus, who said, judge not according to appearances, but judge by right judgment. So you and I get to choose our inner truth. And so in the scenario before, we have this person who's been told that they're no good, that they're a screw-up, which has become their inner truth. And something happens, say they get laid off from work, and his inner truth starts telling him, oh, yep, I'm a screw-up, I can't even hold a job down. This tool about choosing our inner truth says, we might have that thought initially, but we can choose our thought by saying to ourselves, wait a minute, these thoughts that I have are coming from an inner truth that no longer serves me. These thoughts are coming out from old, worn-out data. These thoughts are coming from that person I really didn't like in the first place. I don't have to accept this as my inner truth any longer. I can, right now, in this moment, change my inner truth. And right there, in that moment, we start to install a new inner thought. We start to install a new inner truth. And so I want to install a new inner thought. Walsh wants to install a new inner thought. Let's take a deep breath. All change is for the better. For the better. Take a deep breath. All change is for the better. There is no such thing as a change for the worse. Can we believe that? Now, there are going to be people out there who are thinking that I am teaching this lesson because we're going to do a vote after service. But what I want to tell you is this lesson was scheduled in Maine in May or June. And God only knows how it came up this week. Because what I do is I take these lists of talk ideas with talk topics, and frankly, I have a minister friend who sends me this list of talk titles, and she gives me this, she does her talk, she has a theme, and she has some talk titles. And I took a list of her talk titles with me to Maine, and I scheduled through December of this year. I think I got to November. That was last summer. And here we are. Thank you, God. All change is for the better. And I don't know that, when I read that, I thought, well, I don't know about that. Here's what Walsh says. We have been viewing change as a disruption, a break in the flow, a shift in direction, an alteration in our lives. But change is not a disruption, but an eruption. It is life erupting into fuller bloom. Change is not a break in the flow, it is the flow. Change is not a shift in direction, it is the direction in which all life moves. Change is not an alteration in the condition and circumstances of our lives, it is the condition and circumstances of our lives. Is that what you wanted to hear? This change, this layoff, didn't happen because I'm a mess up. It happened so that I can live a freer, fuller, more expanded expression of life. This change, this divorce didn't happen because I'm not lovable. This change happened so that I can enjoy and live bigger and have genuine, fulfilling love. This change, this illness didn't happen because I'm not worthy of anything, not even a healthy body, but rather as a wake-up call to shift my internal and maybe external ways of being so that a vibrant, healthy physical body can be brought forth. I'll put a star by this sentence. The truth is, life is a self-sustaining system, and it sustains itself by adapting, by changing. Thus, every change that occurs is a change for the better. The truth is that life is a self-sustaining system, and it sustains itself by adapting, by changing. Thus, every change that occurs is a change for the better. All change is for the better. So say that with me. All change is for the better. So think about a change going on in your life today. And it doesn't need to be a change in your church home. It means to be a change. It could be the change in your something at home, something deep that's critical for you. And think about that. And to yourself say, this change is for the better. And now out loud again, this change is for the better. I wish I knew the joke.
I said, all I can think of is a diaper change.
Every diaper change is a change for the better. And that has a great physical truth. But it is a great metaphysical truth. Get rid of the poop. Remember those inner core beliefs we talked about? The ones that are bad and old that tell us that we are no good? Have you ever heard of poop?
I might call it something else, but yeah.
You might call it something else, but I can't do that here. Now, I know that sometimes the way you would like to change things is to change the fact that anything changed at all. You may think that you can only be happy if nothing ever changes. But here's the deal. No change is not going to make you happy. Let me rephrase that. Not having change in your life will not make you happy, because change will make you happy. Because the last metaphysical truth that I'm going to try to say this morning and get through is that change is an announcement that something else is wrong. Walsh says, change for the worst is literally impossible within the expression of energy we call life. That's because life itself can fundamentally alter itself in only one direction. The direction that evolution requires, the direction that expansion demands, the direction that keeps it flourishing. Things can only change for the better. Things can only improve because improvement is the only nature of God. Now, we would have known that because we say God is good when? All the time. And yet when change and opportunity comes along, what do we say? Oh no, God, you don't know. It might look that our life is devolving, but the everlasting truth is that it's always evolving. And the points I want you to take home are that everything changes. Change is not going to stop. But you and I get to choose how we view change. We can say, oh no, or we can say, wow. We can recognize the inner truths that no longer serve us, and we can choose new inner truths that we want to establish in our lives. All change is for the best. Change is an announcement that something else in our life is not working. Life is always evolving to a higher and higher level. Take a deep breath. All change is good. And so I'm going to invite our musicians to come up and we'll prepare for a time of meditation.